Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Hidden Agenda. Our guest tonight is Mr. Don Eubank, running for District 2 County Commission. Welcome, Don. Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate you for having me.
It's been a minute since we've seen each other and hang out, but glad to have you on the show.
I'm sure we'll get a lot accomplished tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure
we'll save the world right here. 1 hour.
I don't know if a couple squids can do that or not.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I tell you one thing: the decks and the heads will be clean.
I assure you it will be. You'll be able to eat off all bright work in the facility before it's over with.
All righty, everybody. We're going to get started. We're going to ask Don some questions, and we're going to allow Don to give his sales pitch to us and why we should put him as commissioner in District 2. And then if you guys have any questions, as always, just pop up on the in the comment section. We'll check those there after we get rid of our first couple Q&As up here in the beginning part and go from there. All right, brother, you ready?
I'm ready, man. I'm here. I'm here for you guys.
All right. This is one that has been pretty much for every new candidate. How many commission meetings have you attended in the last 2 years?
You know, it's a great question. The nice thing is we have folks like you that goes up there. No, seriously, and I mean that. Look, we don't always have to agree on things, but when people are putting themselves out there and being able to bring the things back to the community, that's important. As you know, I own my own business as well. Business as a business owner is 24/7 sometimes, and it's not always easy to get away unless you have it planned out, right? So you can plan things out. If I'm elected, I'll plan it out. I'll make sure I don't miss anything. But the one thing I can say is having people like you, I'm going to show up and listen. I'm going to watch. I'm going to go back and look at it when it's all said and done. What I don't like is, in the previous, and I ran previously as well, was not elected, and that's okay. It was the right time for me not to be elected, if I'm being honest with you. I think the good Lord put me in a place that I needed to be at home and do some things that happened with my family during that time. I went to a lot of committee meetings that time.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
And what I found out was your voice is not heard there.
No.
I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
And you're right. You're exactly right.
Your voice is not heard. You're limited on time. You're held to a standard that's different. The last time I checked, these are public offices with public people in them. And the public should have a voice with that.
Amen.
And we just didn't have that then. And it was a little bit frustrating, to be honest with you, to show up and sit there and listen. And then when you had an opportunity to speak, feel like you were downgraded by that speaking. That was just tough for me to accept. So the one thing I would love to do is open that up and say the public is welcome. The public's voice should be heard. The office is a public office, and it's for the people. And I think we just lost that. So what I turned to was watching your podcast or watching your videos. I know we're up against a city meeting tonight, and it's like we got to watch, we got to learn, we got to listen. So I think it was nice to sit from afar
Right.
without having to be frustrated by sitting in the room and not being heard.
And, trust me, I've been there. I've watched it happen so many times. It's not even funny. And even to see people removed, just absolutely.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. Look, just because somebody has a different point of view, that shouldn't dictate removal.
No.
Matter of fact, that should be heard. Because if one person has that and they're willing to come forward, how many people are sitting in the background wishing they could say the same thing? Maybe they had the same experience and didn't get heard. Now they're not willing to put their voice out there again. How many times has that been taken away from us? So I just think the value of the people having their voice. Look, if the commission has to sit there an extra 2 hours and listen to the people of this community, that's who we serve.
Right.
We
right.
should be more than prepared to sit there for 2 hours.
And and I really want to elaborate on that a little bit more. Because we have seen some changes in sunshine laws to give us some more teeth for one, and get some more accountability. But at the same point in time, where we got some, we lost some.
That's right.
Where we lost it is we can now only talk about items that are on the agenda.
That's correct.
At what point can you ever redress grievances with your governing body if you can't talk to them? I mean, you can't get together with your governing body outside of a meeting.
That's
because
right.
Now you're in violation of the sunshine laws.
That's right. So the place to do it is inside the walls of the meeting.
Right.
And that's important. The people should be heard, and they should have a chance to be heard as much as they see necessary.
Exactly. And I'll tell you what, and that does not fall under state law. That falls under the authority of whoever chairs the meetings. All you have to do is say, you know what, I want everybody is going to have ample time to get up here and speak. Now, I'm going to tell you what, I'm okay if they want to cap it at 3 or 5 minutes. Kind of get up there, say your piece. I can get that, because if not, we're going to be there for
more than 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll be there for 2 or 3 days.
Look, if you can't say all you need to say in 5 minutes, look, I can never forget the first time I did a speak class. When you was going through school and you had to do speech,
Mm-hmm.
and they told me to do a 3-minute speech. Brother, 3 minutes is forever.
Yes, it is.
That's a long time. So if you can't air your grievances in 3 to 5 minutes, we've missed the opportunity a lot more than we've opened the door. And it may be the case right now, but I would love to see us get to a point where people can come, have their grievances, 3 to 5 minutes, say what they need to say. Look, they don't have to be happy with the decisions we're making.
Right.
We have to be happy with accepting what they think. It's not about the people that's sitting in the elected position. It's about the people that elected them to put them in that position, and they should have the right to be heard without any barriers. Those barriers should be removed. And look, if they're unhappy with you, as long as they keep it civil, Don Eubank, I don't like you. Fair.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
That's right. What anybody thinks of me, none of my business anyway.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how I see things.
So I'm the one that's got to look at myself in the mirror at night, and that's what's important to me on those situations.
That's it. All right, next question. I know you've been out in the community. What issues have your constituents in your district told you about?
Look, I've listened to some of your other meetings, so I don't want to get too far ahead on some of your questions, because I got a funny feeling some of those questions are come back on me. But I'm going to keep it real simple. The good folks of Henderson County, especially District 2, they're not at all enthused by zoning. They're not at all enthused by restricting their rights or making them come to town to get a piece of paper to sell. They say they can build a 4x4 shed, and they're 100% against higher property taxes, or taxes in general. And I look at taxes a little different. I know we'll get there eventually, and I'll talk a little bit more about how I kind of look at taxes. I think, we'll get there to it. Those are the 3 most powerful things I've heard, other than the first thing we've already talked about, and they don't feel their voices heard. Mm-hmm. They just don't. They feel like they're running up against a system that's been just engulfed by certain people. And I'm not saying everybody that sits in an elected position right now is a bad person and not trying.
Right.
But the majority is against.
Right. Right.
And I think that's where the biggest problem. That would be the other big one. And I can get into all the other stuff. Some of the centers where we take our cardboard and our trash. It's like, why would the cardboard ever be full on a Saturday? That's your busiest day of the week. And it's just, we feel, or at least some of the community's looking at it going, what's being undermanaged?
Right.
Where's the resources not being used appropriately and properly? Those are the things that's come, and it's little stuff. Just the centers themselves has come up, I bet you, 20 times in the last 2 weeks.
I believe, especially out there at Blue Goose. I get a lot of complaints out of Blue Goose.
It's busy.
With issues over there.
It's busy, and you shouldn't show up on a Saturday and not be able to get rid of your cardboard. And here's the other thing: you shouldn't be told on a Saturday to put your cardboard in the trash. The cardboard should be going where the cardboard belongs, but it's county
Generates
revenue from that.
So if we're just throwing revenue,
that's right. We're just throwing cash away, and I see it Saturdays. I've seen it myself personally, and then I've talked to people, and it's little things like that. But they feel like when they go and try to give their voice, it's not heard or it's not wanted.
Right, yeah, and you're right.
So
it's the truth.
Those are the things I'm hearing when I'm out talking to the folks in District 2, and they're good people out there.
Oh yeah, you want me to tell you what? That's when I first got into politics, it was because of District 2.
Yeah, well, there's some good folks out there,
Yeah.
and they don't mind voicing their opinion.
Not at all. I'll tell you right now, I made some very good friends out that way, and that's and I like them because they're not afraid to take a stand.
Yeah,
that really meant a lot to me.
Well, this country was built on taking a stand.
That's it, and
it happens.
Yeah, we're not going to elaborate much on that one there. But. All right, have you talked with any of the sitting commissioners to learn about what's required of commissioners?
Yes and no. Yeah, I've spoken to them over the last five years probably. So as soon as I finally decided this was something I felt I wanted to do to give back to my community, has nothing to do with me, makes no change in my life. But what it does do is I want to make sure that people have a voice, that people are able to express themselves and be heard. So when I started doing that, I went outside of my district. I didn't feel super comfortable in my district, with the exception of one fine gentleman. And I spent a lot of time with him and sat down and talked to him. I'm not going to use a name. I think everybody at this point knows who I'm speaking about. Spent a lot of time with that gentleman, learning from him, getting mentored a little bit, on some just small things. But I'd used my resources outside of our district. Some other people I know in other positions in county government, and I spoke to them. I would struggle to speak to one of my commissioners. We don't seem to see eye and eye, and so when we speak, it's usually not speaking, it's arguing. So to say I've done it with mine, no, but I've done it with others. And I understand county government. Look, I tell people all this time, I'll say this to you now. It's funny, and I said this last week a lot. We spend a lot of time worrying about the county mayor, a lot of time worrying about the sheriff. And we're having debates with them, and we're putting them in front of everybody. Those two are only good as the commission that sits behind them.
Exactly.
Or the 8 people that vote to make sure that their agendas move forward. Now, we need good county mayors to get out there and work for an agenda that's going to help this community. And we need a great sheriff to get out there and protect us and serve the people the way they're supposed to be. But those two can't do their job unless the commission supports them.
Exactly.
And we're not debating the commission.
And you're 110% correct on that there.
And I struggle with that.
And that should be done in each district. I mean, this is one of the things, that I've talked to people about in the past. Growing up, we had elected officials, but we also had community leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And the community leaders kind of came together, monthly. We had community centers, little small block buildings that was nothing but pretty much an open hall, some bathrooms, and a kitchen. And once a month, everybody in the community came together and had like a potluck. The women would come out there and bring all their foods and stuff. And it was wonderful because they were kind of competitive. Yeah, well, I'll make a better banana pudding than you do. But we all kind of got
I'm willing
together.
to test that theory, by the way. If anybody wants to go down that pathway,
I'm right
sorry.
There with you. I am a good food critic.
That's right.
But the kids, we had playground outside. The kids would go out and play, and the adults would get together after the meeting was over and discuss what's going on in the community, and then share it out. Mm-hmm. And then they would bring that to our elected representatives. Because our elected representatives plain and simply just don't get involved in the community. To me, we need to get more community leaders back in here and start pulling for these things here to happen. I think that we've lost that there. And generally it was, it was the older people in the community that had experience who were generally the leaders. Ones that were respected, ones that could be trusted. I mean, it's just we've lost our way so much. Some of the ways that things used to be helped us,
That's right.
and we've lost that.
Yeah, look, I said this last time. I'll say it again. One of the things I'll put on the forefront of my ticket is transparency and being open with the citizens that I'm sent to represent. I think their voice should be heard. I think their voice should be sent up there. And look, even at the end of the day, if what the constituents of District 2 want doesn't align with what Don Eubank thinks, I'm not elected by Don Eubank.
All right.
That's one vote.
Right.
I'm elected by the majority of my district. I mean, I have to think about what the majority of my district. Now, if it goes against my morals and values, then we may sit down and discuss.
Right.
And we need to have some talks. But at the end of the day, the people of District 2 are sending me to do a job on their behalf, not
Right.
my behalf.
Exactly.
Now, I would
Exactly.
hope that my morals and my values align with their morals and values, but it's not always going to be that way.
No.
And the one thing I have to say is if my morals and values aren't in alignment with what my entire district wants, then I have to put aside Don Eubank, and I have to vote based off what the people that put me in office want.
Right.
Now, I don't have a problem saying so. I'm not happy voting this way,
Right.
but this is what my district told me to do.
Exactly. And that's it.
And we only get that through community support and community involvement. We talk this every 4 years. We all join together every 4 years, and we fight like crazy for 6 months to decide on who's going to be the next elected officials. I wish we put that much effort for the other 3.5. The community.
Amen. Amen. You know, and what you're saying is, every year we hear the same thing. Every election we hear the same thing over and over. All these promises, the same promises over and over and over, and not a single one of them ever comes to fruition.
That's right.
We just don't see it. You know, I'll tell you what, and that's to me is the hard pill here to swallow is, you know, if you tell me you're gonna monthly, I'm gonna get together with my constituents, we'll meet somewhere and have a meeting, then go have the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, then you're not. It's pretty simple. But you know that's the campaign promises that we hear constantly, and they never come to fruition.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say I'm going to meet with my constituents monthly. Everything is time-based and everybody's busy.
Right.
But what I can tell you is I'm going to put something in place so that I can hear them. I'm going to give you my cell phone tonight. I'm going to give you my email address. Literally, my cell phone. I don't carry two. I carry one.
Right.
It's the same one I use for personal life, business life, and I'll use it for them. Because I'm going to answer that one.
Right.
You know, I can put the business one somewhere else or the political one somewhere else if I need to. I'm not doing that. I've got one. I can't keep up with two anyway. Heck, I'd lose it. But seriously, if you go to any event with me, you'll find out they put my name on everything that's mine. So when I set it down and leave it somewhere, they'll get it and bring it back to me because I can't keep up with anything when I'm out and doing things. But what I can tell you is we're going to do something. If it's quarterly meetings, if it's trying to create groups that can get together and then individuals that can come back, sometimes that's easier. You can put 100 people in a room. You can have 5 different rooms. You got 500 people. You can bring 5 people back to me that brings me the voice of those 500 people. I think there's value in that, and I think there's value in what you just said, creating it around community.
Right.
You know, we've lost a lot of community lately. You don't get to see the picnics, if you will, or the cookouts.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of those because to go back to any of these ladies want to have a fight over their banana pudding, I'm happy to help judge.
I'm right there with you.
Just throwing that out there. Just you guys tell me when and where to be. I'm gonna show up for that one.
And you know, and that's it. And I'm going to say this here. I'm gonna, off topic for a second. I did. Brad Atkinson had his meet and greet up at Crossroads over the weekend, and I went out there Saturday night. John Baker, pleasure to meet you, man. And burgers, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But I'm going to brag. I don't have the slightest clue who the lady was that made it, but they had these butterscotch bundt cakes. Oh my God! I don't know who you are.
Straight to your heart,
But
man.
let me tell you right now, yeah.
Straight to your heart.
I'm up for adoption.
That's right.
I mean,
Look,
man,
we used to do this. I grew up in a small rural community, and I'll go ahead and say this now. I'm not a lifelong Henderson County. I was born just across the interstate in Spring Creek, Tennessee, which is technically Madison County. Most people that grew up in Spring Creek, Tennessee, use Lexington, Henderson County as their hub, not Jackson, Madison County. It's just the way it works. It's easier to come to Lexington, and we appreciate the people here. Versus that was back 50 years ago. But I grew up across there, and I can remember growing up, and the church meetings weren't the only socials that were had.
No.
There were other socials. They may have been held at the churches.
Right. Yeah.
Because they have the facilities.
Right.
But we had meetings. And we had opportunities for the community to get involved with each other. And I just think there's so much value in that, and I think it was lost. I'd love to see some way to bring that back. I don't know that I'm the right person to do that, but I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to say, let's have talks, let's have sit-downs, let's have opportunities. If we can scale it around some really good food, I'm not going to be mad. And let's just do this. It's again, this is a bigger thing than me.
Right.
It's a community thing.
That's it. And it needs to be about community and not about certain cliques, if you want to call it.
Sure.
You know, we need to take care of the people. All right, let's get into the next question here. Do you support building a multi-use facility?
You know, it's a. I've listened to your others answer that. I did my due diligence. I watched accordingly. And I struggled. And I thought and I prayed on it. And I thought, you know what? Sure. If we can build it, why not? But can we? And can we afford it? And can we upkeep it? And can we do that without putting a burden back on the taxpayer of Henderson County? Now you got a different discussion, don't we?
Yes, we do.
It's not about a facility anymore.
Right.
It's about what we can and can't do. We can sit here and promise we need a facility. And do I think we have opportunity to grow? Again, I don't want to get too far ahead. I did my homework, buddy. You can't grow unless you put more people in this county. And that's how we're going to get more tax dollars in this county. And we're going to have to grow through that growth. And we have great opportunity. Our county borders Interstate 40. It's the heaviest thoroughfare in the United States. I'm in transportation. It's what I do for a living every day. I know how many trucks run up and down Interstate 40 every day. It is the heaviest one in the country. And I think we've missed a great opportunity on that north side of our community, right there where you guys live.
Yeah.
And the amount of interstate property we have out there is unreal. And it all sits in our county. Can we just go out there and build something tomorrow? No, we can't, because again, we got to afford it. We got to have somebody coming into it. We got to have people to get into it. Buying a house in Henderson County is horrible.
It is.
So
Expensive.
it's expensive because we don't have enough homes for the people that want to move to Henderson County. That's a good thing until it's not.
Right.
So to say, do I support a multi-use in the current situation? No, I couldn't support it because I don't think we can afford it.
Right.
I don't think we can build it, maintain it, and afford it under our current financial situation.
Right.
And I don't know that we can even tighten up. The one thing I would love to just really dig in and look and see where the finances are. I told you earlier, I own a business. Being fiscally responsible is just not spending more than you make.
Right.
And I think we struggle at that sometimes. But we got to dig in, find areas we cut. Can we cut enough areas to build something like that? I don't know that we can. But can we have a long-term plan that brings a multi-use facility into our community that doesn't burden the taxpayers? Sure, I think we can. Can we get it done in a one term? I don't know. 4 years is a quick turnaround.
That's a mighty quick turnaround.
And we're talking about a lot of building and a lot of money,
Yeah.
a lot of infrastructure. Do I support it from a community standpoint, from a county standpoint, and what I think it can bring to the county? Yes. But we've got to figure out a way to pay for it without putting that burden back on the taxpayer. We can tax them to death and have a multi-use function that 10 years from now is a failing infrastructure, like maybe some of other buildings in our county that are failing infrastructures.
Because we don't maintain anything.
See, so do you see where I'm trying to
I know
lead?
what you're saying, yeah. I mean, that's where my I mean, you know, and failing infrastructure is to me is one of our biggest problems. You know, I was at the candidate forum for the sheriffs. There's a few other ones up at Crossroads the other day, and the discussion came up about this here and then about growth. And there's one thing that I look at in all of this here with growth is the one thing that is not in abundant supply is land.
Well, that's right.
Where are you going to get land? That's my biggest concern here. Is, you know, they were talking about Crossroads, and there's some great ideas being floated up there, but who's selling their land? We can't force somebody to sell their land.
Well, and who's putting the infrastructure to the land?
Well, and that's it too. I mean,
Do we have all the things we're supposed to have there for that land to sell and build what you want to build? So it's got to be. It can't be
Right.
let's have the building without everything else that goes along with it.
Right,
We
right.
got to think about the whole process.
we got to start at the foundation, and that's the ground that it's got to go on.
That's right.
And the same thing goes back in. I'll say the same thing applies back into housing. And like I said, yeah, we can go into we can go just rabbit holes on this one here. So we won't do that there. But all right, let's go into the next question here.
Sure.
All righty. Do you support a residential building inspection permit?
I'll keep it very simple and say no.
Okay.
I wanted to say something different, but I might have a constituent out there that would be offended by what I would say. Apologies for, look, two things about that, James, and I'm going to be just really honest with you on this. One, it's my property.
All right.
I already pay taxes on it yearly, and I even struggle with that, to be honest with you, from a citizen standpoint.
I get you.
I mean, how long you got to own something that you don't have to pay the government for it? Come on, folks.
I want to correct you on something here. How long do you want to lease something from the government?
Well, there you go. Thank you. That's fair.
You don't own it.
That's right. That's fair.
At the moment you don't pay taxes, guess what? They take it.
But anytime, look, I get we don't want unsightly things. Folks don't want that. I live in a small community. We do have some ordinances in there. I remember them 25 years ago when I purchased the property, but I haven't seen them since because nobody in my community lives by those.
Right.
But we kind of hold each other accountable just to making sure that we don't go around. We don't have an HOA. We don't pay anything. We don't go and talk to each other about the way their properties look. We all just respect each other
Right.
and make our properties look the way we feel they should.
Right.
Is there a truck somewhere in somebody's front yard? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Did they put it there on purpose? Well, sure, but it wasn't really because they just wanted to park a truck in the front yard. I don't think anybody's looking to put that as a statue.
No.
Anytime you ask for somebody to come to town and get a permit, you're doing one of two things. You're controlling what they can build, or you're putting a burden, which is a tax, back on the community.
That's it.
There's no other reason. You're either going to tell them they can or can't do it, which is now you're dictating what they can do on their property, and I struggle with that. Or you're just doing it so as a revenue source, and that's a tax,
That's it.
and that's a burden.
That's it.
So, no, I won't. You'll never hear me vote for that, ever. I don't think anybody. I've never heard an argument that was valuable enough to make me change my mind on that,
Right.
ever. Now, when we get to down the road, you're going to hear something different from me than you probably heard from your other candidates. But I think that one is horrible, and I think, bless their hearts for even thinking.
No.
The fine Southern term, bless your heart.
All righty. Zoning.
Yeah, I'm totally against zoning. Back to property value and property ownership. Even if we go way back, I was against zoning for that. I think again we go back to looking at the position of where you want to put something, or you putting something in somebody's backyard that's making a hindrance on them. Well, now you got to have a conversation with somebody, but it shouldn't be government.
Right.
It should be people treating people the way people should be treated. And I believe. Do I believe every Henderson County falls into that suit? No. Is there some small amount of citizens in any community that are bad apples? Yes. Or they're going to bring things to your community, your city, your county that doesn't fit right or feel good for the community and county. That's always going to happen. Everybody's looking, because again, God's not making any more dirt.
Right.
And the space is what the space is. So if the
Till we
space
go
is
to Mars.
available, well, thank you. We're back to the moon next
Yeah.
well, one more year from now. What a great! That was awesome, by the way. I don't mean to change subject, but I'm so excited over the last 7 days to see the country get excited about that again. I just thought that was, oh my God, I thought that was the greatest thing since sliced bread, to be honest with you. But do I believe in zoning? No. Again, this goes back to James. You own it. Well, no, you don't. You lease it from me, therefore you can't do it.
That's right. No, that's really what it is. That's even just another form of control of
it's an
their
overreach.
property.
It's an overreach.
It's exactly what it is.
Any way you shake a stick at it, it's an overreach. Anybody that's hollering that should not. Look, in city, I get it. When you're in certain smaller areas, subdivisions that have HOAs and have ordinances, you're going into that community purchasing land knowing what you're purchasing. It didn't happen after the fact, it happens before the fact.
Right.
But I'm going to struggle with anything that happens after the fact when we're talking about wide open, beautiful Henderson County. Right around. I've rode all over District 2 in the last 30 days. It's beautiful out there.
It is.
And I don't believe people are inherently coming in to try to change that. And I don't think we should put zoning in place that prevents people from being able to live at their means. That would be my last part of that. I think sometimes there's some people that are like, well, we shouldn't have trailer parks or we shouldn't have small home communities. Well, that's all fine and dandy for those of us that are in a position to afford something different. It's not so fine and dandy for those that can't afford and they're looking to try to do better and better themselves, and that's their next rung on the ladder. I started in a mobile home when I left my mom and daddy's house when I got home from the Navy. That was the first place I lived. I don't live in a mobile home anymore. I'm not knocking mobile homes. My mother-in-law lives across the street from me in a mobile home or a manufactured home. Some of these things are amazing now.
Yeah, they are.
Holy crap. I got a buddy of mine, his family, his daughter's looking at one. I was like, geez, man, that's better than my house. 2x6 walls. I was like, get out of here. So look, stop telling people what they can and can't afford and what they can and can't do on the property that they are owning.
Yeah.
And leave them alone. Let people look. If people will hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Down the road.
That's it. You know, and I had somebody put it, and it's kind of a profound statement. It's like, we've got some people who don't like poor people. And I'm like,
that's right.
You know, I thought about that for a second. I'm like, well, I mean, it's hitting the nail on the head. I mean, it's the truth. But it blows my mind that that's just the mentality of some people that.
I'm not a rich person, but I'm also I don't believe I'm a poor person anymore. I've been very blessed in business. My wife and I was very fortunate to have some really good jobs after I come out of the Navy. But to go back and say I hate poor people, man, that's brother. You just isolated a large population, and that's not fair. There are some good poor folks out there, and there's some good medium class folks, and there's some good rich folks. Why are we isolating them based off their income?
Well, and that's right. And you know, if you get somebody who's maybe not poor today, but if you tax them into
you can tax them into poor.
I mean, if you go back in and look, there's a metric that they have a dashboard that you can look at on the state's website, and it tells you where we are every year. There's 5 different levels. I think at risk. Distressed, at risk, transitional, and then 2 more that's above that there. And it grades us, and it's based on median income, but it also gives us a percentage of people who are at or below poverty level. Mm-hmm. And we float around 18%.
That's right.
Almost a fifth of our citizens are at or below poverty level.
I tell people all the time, if you look at the median income for Henderson County, that should tell you everything you need to know. And then base that off state. And that's going to tell you a lot more than you already know. When we're dealing with those numbers, look, I've got a friend of mine. I'll tell this story now. I won't mention his name. Great guy. He is a 25 plus year, at least 25 plus year police officer. His wife is a 25 plus year teacher. They were 2 of the finest people you will ever meet in your life, and both of them are in service to our community. One serves the police department, the other serves our children, which is what we should be looking at. We're done. It's about the kids. Yeah. And bless their hearts, they're in 2 of the lowest income jobs you can have. Yeah. And you know what? They're as happy as you can ask for. And they're richer, I'm going to be honest with you, brother, they're richer than most of us. And not financially, it's not about that to them. That's right.
It's there.
That's right.
You know,
so
that's it.
Anytime we're looking at the poverty level, saying that this is, we should stop it.
Yeah, we should
look at the people.
That's it. Should always
and give them the means to grow to whatever they want to be. That's the greatest thing about our country. Freedom. You can be what you want to be.
That's it. That's it.
just happen to be one a police officer and a school teacher, and bless their hearts, they chose two professions that just don't pay well.
Doesn't matter.
Should pay the most.
Right. But
they
you're
don't.
right, it does. And what it's about is plain and simple, is they're giving back.
That's right. Every day of their life.
You know, that's
And they go home and they smile. And I watch their social media, and it's funny. I think, Lord have mercy, there's days I'm a very blessed man. Again, I have a wonderful family, and we're very happy a lot. My wife keeps me in check, I promise you. But I watch them, and I think, boy, simplicity can be just a grand thing. They're good Christian folks. They go to church. It's just fun to watch them and think about it. So anytime anybody says, well, we need to, oh, by the way, they live in a manufactured home.
You know what? Blessings doesn't have a dollar sign beside it.
That's right.
Just
So I'm sorry, that was a really long answer
Well, no,
for your
no,
zoning
but I
question that I was going to try to keep simple, but there you go.
That's, well, and that's what it should be. That's what we're looking for, is to kind of get in there and get the truth of it. Wow, they must not like my folks at the village. Yeah, you're right about that, Flo. There are some people who don't. It's a sad reality that we live in.
Oh, somebody make a comment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we've got those people there don't have any control. But they may try to, but at the end of the day, the people will always stand. That's just what I believe. All righty, next question. I got two more for you.
All right.
Property taxes. Talk to me, Goose.
All right, so this is where we're going to go sideways a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Because a lot of folks will walk into your room, a lot of folks will stand in front of this community or this county and say, I'm not for property taxes being raised. And I am not. Let me just get that out of the way now. And a lot of people are going to come back to the wheel tax. What about the wheel tax? Well, a tax is a tax.
Right.
Property tax is one thing, wheel tax is another, but taxes are taxes. Do I suggest we go up in property taxes? No. No, I don't. I don't want to vote for that. And I wouldn't vote for it unless we're in dire need. But I don't know that we're ever going to see that, because we got to get the right leadership in the community to change the approach to it so that we don't have to go down that road. Because you've either got one thing, you've either got to grow or tax.
Right.
Because the finances aren't going to change. You can't have both.
Right.
So you got to do one or the other. So no, I'm not against, or I'm 100% against property tax. Matter of fact, I said this earlier, I don't think you should pay a tax on something you've owned.
Right.
I just think sure, you bought it, pay a tax on that, pay a
Right.
purchasing tax or whatever you want to call
Sales
it.
tax.
A sales tax, if you will. It's like going to Walmart and buying a soda. Pay your tax. I have no problem paying taxes, by the way. I have no issues with that. I think the Bible speaks of it. I think we should talk about it because this is how government runs, and this is how we have the facilities we have. We all complain about the areas that are tough, but they got there through the tax money that we sent into them.
Right.
So the start is there. So no, I'm against property taxes, and I'm 99.9% sure I'd never vote to raise them. But 4 years from now, 8 years from now, you won't hear me after 8 years. I can assure you, I'll make one promise tonight. I will not run past 2 terms. Probably won't run past 1. I want to get in and get an impact quick and hard for this county. But to say I couldn't do something in 6 years that this community desperately needed, and we need to tax a certain way differently, that's going to be a hard sell for any politician. I'm just sorry, it is.
Well,
and I'm not a politician. I guess that's why I can speak that way. I could lie to you and say no, but I can't say that a good cause doesn't come forward that we can't have a discussion about. But the community's got to support it. It can't come from government. It's got to come from the people. The people have got to come back and say, we're willing to support this, which led me to the wheel tax.
Let's go ahead and talk about the wheel tax.
Because I know that come up in your last discussion with somebody.
That's the last question I got for you.
I'm telling you, I did my due diligence.
And I do want to come back to the property tax and give my perception, because people may not like it either.
Well, look, the wheel tax has come up. I've heard folks in the community say, well, we won't vote for the wheel tax. It's got a sunset date and it's supposed to go away. Well, sure, the county government can get together. They won't extend it. They can't extend, but they can create a new wheel tax for a new reason.
Right.
And that wheel tax just continue.
Right.
And I think wheel tax is a little bit fair at the end of the day, because you're paying for your vehicle. and everybody that's got a vehicle that owns a vehicle is paying for their vehicles. So it's a little bit fairer than property, because there's a lot of folks that don't have to pay property tax that live inside the community. We've got some infrastructure issues in our community. We all know this. We can talk about the school systems. We can talk about the county jail. As much as all these sheriffs are running around hollering, at some point, somebody's going to have to think about the time frame that jail has set there, and what the upkeep of it has been, and what the upkeep of it's going to be
Right.
once the finances go away. So there has to be some discussion there. So for somebody to sit here and say, well, I wouldn't vote for a wheel tax. Well, I'll vote for a wheel tax if the community's willing to support where the finances go and how the finances are used. See, there's a little different opinion.
Right.
What does the community want out of that? If the community's willing to give you money, spend it the right way.
Right.
Spend it well for them, and create the idea that it's the right reason to spend it for. So, yeah, property taxes, no. I just wish they'd go away, to be honest with you. But a wheel tax, coming back, it's going to be up to the mayor, it's going to be up to the sheriff, it's going to be up to this commission to sit down and talk to their constituents and say, we have these issues and we feel this is the fairest way for us to get there the fastest so we can grow our community. Because as long as our infrastructure keeps to fail, we're not going to bring industry into this community. As long as our infrastructure crumbles underneath us, we're not going to bring new factories in, because they're going to see the infrastructure failing, and that's a red flag for them. And the more red flags that pop up, the quicker the industry goes away. And again, we have a beautiful amount of ability to grow in this community and utilize the fact that we're on one of the busiest thoroughfares in the country, and we're not utilizing those things, and we're not trying to plan for the future. It's not going to happen in the first 4 years. I'd be shocked. I'd love to push it all through, right? I want to see the community grow, because the more people we get in this county, the less we have to concern ourselves with taxes.
Right.
Because that's more money coming in, there's more money being spent, there's more jobs. And even if we're not having the jobs here, if we have the area for them to live, those monies are still coming into our community.
Right. Right.
Now,
I mean, that's it.
Build one, you get the other.
Right.
But you can't have one without both.
We both know people who work over in Madison County.
Sure.
And live here. And they bring their money back home. Does every penny stay here in Henderson County? Absolutely not. You want me to tell you what? I work here in Henderson County. But heck, I had breakfast this morning over in Jackson. We had to go for an MRI. I had breakfast this morning. I went by Sam's Club. Does every single penny stay here? No. You know what? And that's part of the fact. I guess some people call it tourism. It wasn't about tourism. It was about the fact that I wanted breakfast.
That's why you were in Jackson.
And I was going to Jackson to get an MRI, so let's do the breakfast at the same point.
Sure. Look.
I mean, there's some common sense involved in that there, but and getting away from the spin of it. Now, I'll say this here. I'm probably a little bit different, and I know I probably upset some people. I don't care for property tax either. I really don't. Again, you never own anything. And I'll tell you right now, I had somebody point this out to me the other day. Made a very good, valid point that I never considered. My philosophy was do away with property tax, and let's go with the sales tax. And let's do it in kind of like a luxury tax type deal. If you want to take and buy if you want to drive a 73 Pinto that you spent $1,000 for on Facebook, then fine. Guess what? Your tax on that Pinto shouldn't be that much.
That's right.
Now, if you're going to go out here and you're going to buy a brand new Porsche or Corvette or something, $100,000 vehicle, then you're going to pay a higher tax. Because if you can afford that vehicle, you can afford the tax on it.
Yeah.
You know, a graduated system with the taxes, to me, would be a lot fairer. If you want to go to Walmart and buy, you're going to get a gallon of milk. If you want to get Prairie Farms, which costs more money, or you want to get Great Value. It's a great value, you know, lower tax than what the Prairie Farms at, which I think food tax period should not be there at all, because that's a necessity that we have to have in life, and they're still charging us for it.
Yeah,
but then again,
taxing you for a necessity.
Right, and then you got to think about it. I mean, shelter, your house, that's a necessity, and you get tax on it. Guess what happens? We pay taxes on water too.
Well, it says water, electricity, and everything else you use
yeah.
around. Everything's taxed. Nothing's free.
Yeah, nothing's free. or
regardless of what
nothing's
you.
tax free.
That's right. Nothing that you pay for is tax free. I should say.
But where I seen the problem here with property tax, and I go back to the 74 cent in the city that they try to pass.
Mm-hmm.
At the same point in time frame, and seeing this is here and we're going to be discussing this here on Thursday night, and I'll be putting a post up about it. People don't realize the county tried to pass a 27 cent property tax at the same time the city was trying to pass a 74 cent.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that a year later the county's trying to pass a 10 cent property tax. They talk about, oh, we haven't done anything with property taxes. Well, guess what? If you go back and you read the minutes from the meetings, or if you attend the meetings, you'll hear them talking about property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, they have tried to pass property taxes. You know what? If they want to hit us for 2 or 3 cents every 4 or 5 years, I don't think that would be bad, because you know what that does is that creates some growth. I think the value of a penny in the county is like 66,000.
That's right.
Give or take. So, I mean, that's $180,000 on 3 cents that you can create. Well, that there can help with expansion and what our cost is. And it doesn't hit us so hard. And I'll say this here. This building, we do not own. We rent this building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll tell you what? My rent has gone up twice. And you know when it went up? When the property taxes went up. So I paid that there. Now, the wheel tax, I'm going to probably say it's probably not the fairest tax where a lot of people think it is. Because, again, if you're paying that, you're driving that 73 Pinto.
You're paying the same as I'm paying.
You're paying the same.
That's right.
Yeah, and you're driving up on the Lamborghini.
Big old, well, I'm not driving a Lamborghini, but I got a nice Dodge truck out there.
Well, but what I'm saying is, you know, that
That's
person's
right.
paying the same tax there. So, you know, it's, and to me, where our wheel tax really should be focused on is for capital outlay projects.
That's right.
You know, if we're going to do some road repair, I'm okay if we're going to do taxes with the sunset, but we got to have a plan.
Well, you should have the plan before you ever bring it to the citizens.
Right.
Period.
That's not what happens. So let's pass it and we'll figure it out in the tail end.
No, we've got, the commission should sit down, the planning committees in this should sit down and start, if they're not already looking at this, and as many meetings as I've watched, I've not heard it, we're not planning for this already. We should have already had a plan in place because the sunset's coming.
Right.
We should already have a plan in place so that we can get it out to the citizens and say, we would love to continue this wheel tax, whether you agree with it or not.
Right.
And I don't disagree with your stance on
Right.
that.
Right.
I do like the idea of the sales tax the way you just talked about it. I've never thought of that. That's a really cool idea. I drink Great Value milk, by the way, so I'm happy with that.
But I ain't got a 73 Pinto.
I had a 74 Datsun one time. It's not a Pinto. My wife had a Pinto. I had a Datsun.
B210.
That's carried the garbage off at the farm growing up.
Little cars,
They were bad, man. So that's funny. You actually do that. We got to have a plan, and we don't have plans in place. And that's again, I don't want to knock the folks that are in there now. There's some fine people on the commission. There's fine people working in the administration. We're just not forward thinking. We're dealing with things that are right in front of our face or behind us,
Right.
and not thinking about the future. And thus, we're not growing. I heard somebody say the other day. I promised myself I wouldn't say names tonight, but I will make a comment. I've been in this position for 16 years. And I thought to myself, 16 years ago, let's go back 16 years and look at what the county had 16 years ago and the city had in businesses and places for folks to work, infrastructure, and what we have today. It's went down, not up.
Right. It's gone down. We're paying for more services. We're getting less services. We're paying more money, and the quality of what we have is less.
If you're living on the fact that 16 years ago was when you started, and I should vote for you today, I'm struggling with that. Just because of what's happened in 16 years. Not that you're a bad person.
Right.
Just we haven't advanced. We've stalled.
Right.
Slowly downhill a little bit, if not.
I'm going to say we definitely hit a grade.
And it's like, guys, we've got to be more forward thinking. We should be pre-planning this stuff. We should be talking about it really early. This country didn't get here by accident. It didn't get here thinking about yesterday.
No.
It had a lot of forethought, a lot of behind-the-scenes work. I mean, let's just go back to it. I mean, we've all read our history book. There was more work behind the scenes than there was ever done in front of the scenes to get to the country we're at 250 years ago today, this year. We should be doing the same thing today. We sometimes forget that. And look, it happens in everybody.
Right.
It happens in my business.
Right.
Every now and then we'll get really complacent, we'll get really comfortable, and we just sit there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we're in a downslope and we can't figure out why. And we're backtracking the whole time trying to figure out why are we in a downslope. Well, it's because we got complacent. We weren't forward thinking. We weren't trying to plan for the future. We were just letting the good things happen that were happening. That's when you got to get bigger visions.
Right.
That's when you got to step up and say, look, what's next? What can we do more that's going to bring more into our community, into our county? Look, if we want to stay and be the beautiful county we are right now, great. But don't complain when somebody says, well, we need more money to provide the services, because the services get more expensive every year.
Right.
And the fees stay the same coming
Right.
in for the most part. They'll
Right,
vary
right.
a little bit here.
And that's kind of what I see. I like I said, I get it. Would I like for there to be no property tax increases? Absolutely not. What I would like to see, though, is a trimming of the fat. and I mean that sincerely. And I had a message sent to me today, and they were asking me about a salary. Now I'm not going to mention the person or the position, but they asked me about a salary and what this person was making. And I told them, I said, well, I looked it up, 82,402. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, you like to know the year before? Yeah, 80.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to know the year before that? 63.
Mm-hmm.
A $17,000 jump
Mm-hmm.
in 1 year
Mm-hmm.
on a $63,000 salary.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a third of the salary.
Mm-hmm.
There's problems there. That's where that's where we have issues. And the thing is,
And then we got teachers out here that couldn't get a raise or
right?
barely got a
the
3%
state had
growth
to come in
rate.
here and force a
That's what
$50,000, get them to $50,000.
Yeah, we're individualizing when we should be looking at, and from a holistic standpoint of everybody that's involved.
Enlisted. They do all the
All the
freaking
work.
You know they do
All
all
the
the
work.
work. Do they really need an officer? At the end of the day, they can get away without it.
That's right.
Can they make command decisions? Probably not. But operational readiness will always be there, just on the working class man.
That's right.
And it's the same thing here, But the problem here is now we're starting to see there's more and more chiefs and less Indians,
Mm-hmm.
and that costs more money. And we could go down here again another rabbit hole that we could be chasing.
You take all the enlisted and all the in our world chiefs off the ship, it won't float very long. Well, it'll float, it just won't go very far.
Yeah. No.
You can remove everybody in a leadership position there that has a bar on their shoulder, and I promise you they'll get it off and they'll get it going, because the operation will happen.
Exactly.
And we sometimes forget about the folks that's in the operational pool.
That's what we need to really be taking care
That's
of.
right. Yeah.
They're the ones who are truly providing.
It goes
the
back to that
service.
police officer I was talking about and that school teacher that I was talking about. Those are the folks that are grounded in our community, and they're the people that are locked into our community. They're the people that's showing up to scouting, and they're the people that's showing up to church on Sunday or a Saturday and holding a league, or they're at the farmer's market working on Saturday. These are the folks that get out and do 90% of the work. We've got to ideal that. We've got to bring that back in, and we've got to forward think better
Right.
to grow. If we don't grow, then we only have one other option.
Well, and you said something that really just hits home. You have a plan. Once you achieve that plan, there should be another one sitting right
Already in
in the wings,
place.
ready to go.
We shouldn't be talking
right.
about what's the new
Right,
plan.
no,
The new
right.
plan should have already been thought of.
That's
Once the
complacency,
plan's
right.
in place,
Right.
you're in execution mode.
That's it.
The people in leadership should go back to visionary mode and start looking at what's next when that plan is done, so that they can still have oversight. They can
Right.
still make sure it's maintaining itself. But get out of the sorry folks, get the hell out of the way of the good people and let them do their job.
Right. And that's where our problem lies. And I think if something happens, management. You said it earlier. It's all about management, and it's not just. It's across the board in government. Mm-hmm. We see this here. And I'll tell you, somebody was asking me about that. There was military. It's like the military is different than what you see here. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot different. I said, number one, everything, there's accountability.
That's right.
I said the first thing I learned in OCS, you train, you follow up, and you hold them accountable. That's your job. That's it. You know how to do that there, you'll be golden. And it was one of the reasons to me that taking that enlisted rank first, you learn where the working man is. And this way here, you can be an effective leader when you actually have been in their position.
That's right.
And we fail on that there a lot of times, and then or either that there we bring in management that has no qualifications for the position, and we get.
Well, you get what you hire.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in business. I'm in business. We've all made bad hires.
Sure.
You've got to figure the bad hire out, and you got to remove it. You can't. I always said there's empathy and accountability.
Right.
Those are the two worlds I live in. I'm going to show you empathy first.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you every tool possible to be successful, and then I have to be accountable.
Yeah.
And if what I did here doesn't fix it, then this part will,
Right.
because this one has an end. This one has a cutoff on it, and I hate that. I don't like to lose people. I don't like to get rid of somebody.
No, because you've got a lot invested in.
Well, I've got other employees that are invested.
Right. But you have to be fair to the other employees.
That's right.
By not allowing this
That's
stuff
right.
to happen.
When I've got somebody over here killing it,
Right.
and I've got somebody over here halfway getting it done, maybe even not that, I can't continue to pay this person the same as I pay this person.
And it's not fair to this person.
And it's not fair to us
Right.
to raise this person to the point that makes this person feel okay.
Right.
That's raising taxes to the point that it's
Right.
not fair for everybody.
Exactly.
The business is, we're running a government, whether it's local, cities, state, national government, it's a business. And you have to run it, therefore. You have to be forward thinking. You have to have plans in place. You can't go backwards. We got to stop that. We go backwards so much around here. I see things drug up on these board meetings. And it's like, guys, we're past that.
Right.
Stop it. If it didn't pass the first 10 times, we shouldn't even be having a conversation on the 11th.
No,
Like,
you're right.
you know as well as I do, in the Navy, that would have been a never no.
Yeah.
You just wasted paperwork, time, and opportunity. You'll have a senior chief somewhere, a master chief somewhere, eat you alive over that, because they ain't wasting their time because they've got operations to get done.
Inefficient.
That's right.
And
That's right.
All right.
What do we got?
I'm going to step aside, let you make your sales pitch to the people. Tell them why they need you as commissioner in District 2.
Well, look, first and foremost, to James, thank you. We've not always seen eye to eye. That's the fun part about being a person, right? You're able to have a conversation with somebody, and you're able to bring it back around, even if you don't agree. That's okay. When did this country lose the ability to disagree? I love the ideal of agree to disagree some days, because that's what keeps us whole. I'm going to be a little different real quick. There are other folks running, and I've been told never to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, and James is going to probably throw something at me from the wall. But I'm going to use two names real quick. Brent Mayfield's still running in a constable position in this county, and Mark Walker is running as a commissioner as well. Those are two godly men, and they deserve your vote. If you don't vote for me and you live in one of their districts, vote for them, because those are good men, and I can't help myself but say that for them, because when you know a good man, you know a good person, you know a good woman, you should promote them, and those are two of the finest we have in our community. I can't say the same for me, but what I can tell you is you heard me tonight. You heard my honesty. You heard what I am. You heard what I'm not. I'll be a voice for you. I'll be transparent with you, and I'll be honest with you. Am I going to always tell you what you want to hear? No. Are we always going to agree? No. But what I can tell you is when we disagree, we can have a civil conversation about it, and I'll be willing to take your voice as a disagreement voice back to that county commission. Am I going to be able to change commission? No. I need 7 other people on there to vote the same way I'm voting on something. But I'll stand proud, I'll stand loud, I'll stand tall for you. And let's just get it done. Early voting starts this week. Wednesday? I believe it is. So get out and vote. Look, if you don't vote for me, that's fine. I want you to vote for me, and I'm asking you now to vote for me. If you're in District 2, please come meet me this week. I just put it out today. We're having a meet and greet out at Station 6 Fire Department from 9 to 11 Saturday morning, and then 1 to 3 back at Station 1 over by Westover. Come visit with me. We'll have some food. We'll have some coffee. We'll have some drinks. Come ask me your questions. I'm pretty much an open book. You'll know if I'm lying. My wife will smack me in the back of the head, so you'll know that. Come visit with us, give us a chance. But even if you're not going to vote for me, the one thing I would ask is I look at the numbers every time, and it hurts my heart to see how many people don't vote. There are men and women right now in harm's way fighting for your right to vote. Please, never take that for granted. If you do anything this time around, vote because of their sacrifice. And that's what I'd leave you with. James, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate your platform.
Well, I appreciate it, brother. I'm glad you came on board. And, I got to say one thing. Don's right. There's been times we bumped heads. Makes no difference. We're still friends. We found mutual ground. Still work together for the same goal.
Yeah.
That's the spirit of what this country is founded on, is that we can have differences, but at the end of the day, we're still trying to do the same thing. We're still trying to take care of each other and take care of our problems.
Best world is when a Republican, an Independent, and a Democrat can sit down with each other and they can all have a long, hard discussion, and they can all disagree with each other's opinions, and they can come out with a resolution from it. Because that meets the people.
That's it.
That's the people we serve, not the party we serve, not the individual we serve. It's the people we serve, and all three have that voice.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Brother, thank you.
Man, I enjoyed it. All right, folks, before we get off here, this Wednesday, which is the 15th, early voting starts. We'll be posting up tomorrow morning the voting schedule, so you guys will know. May 5th is the primary. I think it's April 15th to 30th?
April 15th through the 30th, and May 5th is the primary.
It's primaries. Yeah. So we'll get all this stuff here posted up here tomorrow morning. Wednesday at 7 p.m., we've got Will Davis. He is the last candidate. He's running for commissioner in District 4. He's going to be the last candidate to come on the show. Nobody else is scheduled. And we'll take Thursday morning. I'm going to have a post going out, probably a couple of posts. One post is going to take in, we're going to go back through and give you a list of every single candidate who's actually agreed to come on the hidden agenda. Again, thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
And so you know which candidates who are willing to come up here and answer your question. And number two, I have been receiving a tremendous amount of requests across the board for accountability in the last 4 years since the last election. So I've been going back through minutes and agendas, videos, and I am getting everything together for you for the information that's being requested of me. So you guys can have that. What I'll do is Thursday, I'll put that out in the post. And then Thursday evening, Blake Mitchell will be on, not as a mayor candidate, but he went to the city meeting today. Mm-hmm. And then he'll be going to the county meeting tomorrow. So he's going to come back on to recap those two meetings. And then we're going to discuss the post that's going up on Thursday. So we'll get the information out that you guys are requesting. Because just trying to get, what's happened is there's been so much, gosh almighty, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 people have messaged out looking for specific information that we've shared. They remember it, but they wanted details. Mm-hmm. So we're going to try to get that information out in just a bulk instead of.
Tell you what I do. James didn't know this was coming. He's going to slap me here in a minute when we hang up. If you're not early voting and you're still undecided, I'll challenge at least the District 2 commissioners. And we don't have to be face-to-face. We don't have to be in the room together. We can get on Zoom and we'll have a debate. If that's what the folks in District 2 wants, and they come back to you and tell you that, I'm happy to lead that and challenge them to come on and say, let's have a debate, let's talk about it face-to-face, candidate to candidate, and tell the folks in District 2. I wish the other districts do it, but I can't control them, and we don't need 56 folks on a Zoom call trying to talk all at once. No. That won't get us anywhere. But I would be happy to sit down with any of the other folks in District 2 and have a conversation with a mediator and some questions from the community and have it. Because again, I think it's great that we are looking to elect the next best mayor we possibly can elect for our community. And I think it's great that we're looking to elect the next best sheriff for our community. But they're going to have a commission that supports them. They're going to have a commission that works together. They're going to have a commission that's forward-thinking. And I just struggle that we have some folks that I don't believe are in that position right now. I wasn't going to say it's time to turn the page, But there you go.
All righty.
My challenge is out there to them. If they want to come on, I'm happy to jump on a call in person or on Zoom. I don't care.
And I'll be more than happy to host it, and however we make this happen, whether it's a Zoom meeting or whatever. I mean, if this happens, if we can get the candidates that are interested in doing it, I'm all for it. I'll be honest with you, you're the only one in your district who ever responded to me.
Right.
So, but you know what? It's worth a try. I mean, heck, I think that's so. I'm not going to say it's a challenge being issued, but I think this is an opportunity being
an
issued
opportunity.
now.
There you go. I don't want to say a challenge.
Right.
Look. Folks don't want to go on CNN because it's heavy to one side. Folks don't want to go on Fox News because it's heavy to the other side.
Right.
But you have to get together at some point and talk about the things.
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you right now,
there.
out there at Parker's Crossroads, after the sales pitches, that's kind of what happened.
It got real for a minute.
It did.
No, and I was pleased with that. It got real for a minute.
You know, finally for once, you know, and we got to see some emotion. We got to hear things.
Yeah.
And that's something to me that type of forum is the only thing. That's the only place you're going to get that.
That's right.
I think it's a great thing.
You got to be together.
That's it.
You got to be together. I'm telling you right now. Put folks in a room together. You can only agree for so long, and then your disagreements will come out. Doesn't make us fight.
No.
Just makes us disagree in the moment, and
Right.
folks can then see.
You get the truth.
That's where the truth lies.
That's where the truth lies. That's what.
It's a
would
sales
say
pitch
that.
if I'm by myself.
Right. Right.
Well, maybe not for me. Hell, what you get is what you see. But I am what I am. But I'm still pitching.
Right.
But you put me in a room to where I can be challenged. Now you're going to get the real me, because that's what happens in the board meetings.
Well, and that's it to me. And that's that's where we can actually get a better gauge on who we're electing.
So
I
I'm
agree
happy
with
to
that.
do it. They don't have to. It's fine. I'm happy to come back on if that's what the folks want. I'm happy to come back on and answer questions as we're into early voting. We got 15 days of early voting, then we're going to have a little pause, and then we're going to have an election day.
And I may end up trying to do that there. I might just have I might just invite out sometime after the 30th, you know, for people who, I know everybody's going to be campaigning hard right now, but we're going to have 5-6 days in there. I don't have a problem trying to get everybody together again and bringing them all on board and saying, hey, let's sit around, let's throw some questions out here.
Yeah, see where everybody's at.
Yeah.
You're going to have to zoom in. Unfortunately, I was not thinking about. I'll be honest with the people right now. I wasn't thinking about running again. And I had a lot of folks in the district reach out to me, and it changed my mind. When people give you their heart, it's hard to tell them no,
Right.
especially for me. I'm a giver in that nature. So my wife and I are actually on vacation the week before elections. But you set the time, I'll make sure I'm available regardless in this country where I'm at. I'll zoom in. I'll make time for it. I have no problem answering. I have no problem sitting in front. I have no problem sitting with them around. I'd love to sit with them in a round table. Because here's the thing. Come election day, when the people make their decisions, and we all roll into those new positions and we raise our hand and we give an oath, we've got to sit in the same room across from each other and do this.
Right.
Day in and day out for the people of Henderson County. And if we can't do it prior to the election, how do you ever expect these folks to trust us after the election?
Amen. Amen.
I'll leave it there. I'm
You know,
done.
and
I'm
I'm
done.
gonna
We
say
gone
that there.
long.
And I'm going to say this here. You understand the value of that oath.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that bugs me too.
I was 17 when I raised my hand for that one.
You know what? And that's, again,
we put it on our youngest people.
That's it. But you don't tell you what though. If you think about what it creates,
Oh, the character it creates and the bonds it creates. Lifelong friends.
That stripped down, boy. Where'd you go to?
San Diego. The whole time. I was stationed. Well, I was stationed in San Diego, then North Shore, and then Coronado.
Believe it or not, I went to Orlando.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It all go to Great Lakes now.
Yeah.
They all go to
that's
Great
where
Lake.
Our son, December 10th, when he left.
Oh, wow.
And I was like,
No, I don't want no part of that.
I said, I did the second part of my BEE school up there. I said, let me explain to you. It's going to be cold coming off that.
It was 73 the day I got to San Diego. It was 73 the day I left. So
that's where he's at right now. There.
So yeah, I did, and all we ever heard was about Great Lakes.
Yeah.
How horrible it was and how cold it was, and everything's indoors. So
It was cold. It was horrible.
Thank you guys. Thank you
All right.
again.
Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you Wednesday night. Pay attention. Blake or Candy will be streaming tomorrow night, the county meeting. And Wednesday night, we'll be back on the hidden agenda with Will Davis, District 4 Commissioner. And Thursday, we got one more, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break. You guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you, guys.